me say. In Monday's session, basically, we have covered types of applications, then application security threats and problems, threat detection and mitigation, application security testing. We are working on that, and then vulnerability assessment, penetration testing, right? So we are covering this. Then after that, we are covering the application security and web applications, right? So let's move fast so that we can cover all the things. We were in application security testing. So I have covered static application security testing that day. So little overview about that, just give you overview. This static application security testing is a type of testing basically which examines source code or binary code, right? So this is done by developer. Last time somebody asked ki, matlab, how can we do this testing? So this is for static application testing is for developer, and once it is done in the phase of development, right? When code is there, so you can test up the time. It analyzes basically source code or compiled code. Application compiles, analyze the source code basically, which is run by developed by developer. So benefit of this application, this SST, कि early detection basically आपका जो errors है that will be detected early, means कि at the time of development you got the error and you can patch it then and there. Code analysis, basically it can analyze the code. It offers a detailed analysis of the application source code. So you will it is easier for a developer to understand the thing कि what are the root cause of that vulnerability and he can patch that then and there. SST tool can be integrated and it is helping into deployment as well. So automated security testing it will done and deployment is happening with this. And there are limitations also as limited runtime context. Basically SAP SST application, basically SST type of testing, static application security testing, is there is a limitation because you are running it on source code, but you are not able to find the error at the runtime. Suppose ki means it is finding the vulnerability in code, source code, what is written by developer, whether it is correct or not, it is covering all the aspects or not, and is there any vulnerability in code, it is finding that, but it is not having the idea of what is runtime, limited runtime context. So that is it is lacking there, right? So next part is aapka dynamic application security testing. So this is another type of testing. This is dynamic application security testing. Basically DAST, you can say that is static application security testing, SAST. Now this is DAST, dynamic application security testing. Any idea? Can anybody tell me what is this dynamic application security testing will do?
The runtime also it can detect.
Yeah. So I'm audible or not? Somebody is writing. I think I'm not audible. Is it?
No, audible, sir.
No, sir,
Audible.
you're audible. You're clearly
Okay.
audible.
Yeah, somebody was writing that part. Okay. So dynamic application security testing का scope है. It is covering the आपका runtime basically. So it is a security testing that involves scanning and testing a running web application for potential security vulnerabilities. It simulates an attacker's action to identify weakness in the application basically. So it is black box testing basically. Black box testing, say anybody can give idea what is black box testing? Basically, there are three type of testing base of testing, that is black box, white box, and gray box. I mean black box testing, we see the functionality only, and In white box, we see the code, and gray box, we'll see both the things, functionality as well as code. I'm just covering it later on also. So DST can detect the security vulnerabilities that is non-secure or vulnerable interfaces. Basically runtime में जैसे कि आपका APIs हैं, there are APIs and which are not secured or developed properly, so it is detecting that thing. And anomalous request and response, it is looking for abnormal HTTP request. अगर कोई abnormal HTTP request आ रही है आपकी, so it is looking for that also and detect and tell you about that, right? Then it is also able to find out the scripting issues. Suppose ki when right developer has written the code and he has used JavaScript and Python language or some other scripting language, so it is able to find out the flaw in that code also. Suppose you have written something in Java which is vulnerable, then it is also raising the alarm in that case, that thing. Data or code injection. Suppose ki it is also capable to detecting injection vulnerabilities such as SQL injection or cross-site scripting. Means ki if someone is trying to fiddling with the input variables and trying to enter the malicious code, then it will also able to detect those things. And it can also detect session anomalies. Basically, session anomalies, say you can set, it can find irregularity in session handling. Suppose you are not handled the session properly, or it is not getting time out on time, and somebody is trying to fiddle with that session, so it is also raising an alarm on that kind of thing. It can also tell you the authentication issues. DST tests the application's authentication mechanism and identifies weakness that could potentially allow unauthorized access to the system. So it will also tell ki there are authentication issues in the system. So it is also detected by this kind of application security testing. So it is tool-based testing basically. It's not manual. The tools for this kind of application is Nessus or JAP. JAP is open source. So these can be tools. These are the tools which can be used for finding such kind of application. So before deploying, it is recommended to test the application before deploying into the production server so that your code is less vulnerable or error free, right? So then third type of testing is coming into the picture, which is application security testing, IEST. Basically, this is interactive application security testing. IST क्या है? Basically, it is a hybrid approach. मतलब it has the flavor of both the SAST and DAST. Means कि आपका इसमें से static application security testing also involved होती है. Some portion of security static application security and some portion of dynamic application security is involved. So interactive approach to security testing combines static and dynamic analysis. This makes it possible to identify known vulnerabilities. मीन्स कि आपका डीएसटी क्या करता है, जो नॉन वर्नेबिलिटीज होता है उसको देखता है. एसएएसटी बेसिकली जो स्टैटिक एप्लीकेशन सिक्योरिटी टेस्टिंग होती है, नॉन वर्नेबिलिटीज व्हिच इज दे फाइंड इनटू द कोड लेवल एंड सी इफ दे आर यूज्ड इन द रनिंग एप्लीकेशन एंड कैन बी एक्सप्लॉइटेड. तो मतलब इट इज मिक्स ऑफ बोथ, इट्स अ हाइब्रिड. सो यू कैन से कि interactive application security testing in the form of application security testing that combines aspect of both static and dynamic, right? So IST has several key benefits. Matlab, what are the benefits out of this? Because it is accurate, because it has more both the flavor. It is testing the code as well as the आपका dynamic runtime pen. So it is more accurate since IST works inside the application. It has a high degree of visibility into the behavior of the application, which makes it very accurate in identifying vulnerabilities. Then real-time feedback. IST can give you the real-time feedback. So it provides immediate feedback as the application is running. And this makes it particularly valuable during deployment, development and testing strategy as well. Developers can receive real-time notification of vulnerabilities as they are coding. Then coverage. This kind of testing is IST tool can cover the entire code base, including components like libraries, frameworks, custom code, and runtime controls. This comprehensive coverage is not always possible with SST and DST because it is hybrid kind of thing. So it is covering the code as well as your runtime. So it is mix of both the flavors, so it's better, right? Efficiency, IST can pinpoint the exact location of a vulnerability in the code. Basically, it is more efficient than in compared to both SAST and IAST. So it is more efficient in that case, and it can pinpoint the exact location of vulnerability in the code, which make it easier for developers to fix the issue.
Sir, what request? Do you have these bullets written somewhere? Can you share that bullet also with this PPT?
Pardon?
Means some bullet points advantage that you can share along with this PPT in
Yeah, I
other
will
form
share.
of document.
I will share that along with, because it is not able to
Yes.
cover all those things in
Yes.
this PPT. So I have given
Right,
this,
right.
and
Yes.
that bullets are, because it will be too like a
Yeah.
chapter will be there. Na? So
Right.
I will
Please.
sharing that thing.
Sure. Thanks a lot.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Vinay, my name is Ranga Prasad. So
Yeah.
will you also show the test results, some of the typical test results of Nessus, Zap, or the other tool? Will you able to showcase that?
Yeah, no, I have not prepared that point of view, because I have told that this is non-IT people. So basically that is typical means ki developer kind of thing. So that I have not added in this part.
Because
I'm just covering the theory part only, na? Right? That is practical part. Then in that case, we need to prepare all those things. So I have not gone through that.
okay.
Sir,
Yeah.
Yeah, you spoke about SAST, DAST, and IAST. Like,
Right.
when do we do what? Like IAST, if it is a combination of SAST and
Basically,
DAST, why don't we
basically,
just
ma'am,
go for this?
basically, ma'am, we have what key? We are three kind of things, right? One is SAST, DST, and IST. IST is better. Basically, all the tools are available. But it's us ki what we are using. Like suppose ki we have access to SAST tool, or normally we used to use DAST, Dynamic Accessibility Application Security Tool. And just as in my organization, we are using JAP, right? So similar way में आपका SAST tool is there. This is the all about theory. This is the tools available in the market. You can use based on the benefit you are seeing, right?
What I meant to ask you, which
No,
tool to
actually-
use when?
IST is better. Basically, IST is covering both the thing, right? It is covering both the thing. It's a hybrid approach. So IST is better, of course.
Example of
actually,
IAST tool?
I
Pardon?
also have the same question. Like, say, if some application is there,
Hmm.
testing it to the full extent, we understand would always be better. But
Yeah.
when or based on which criteria it is means what are the parameters which are helpful in deciding that whether I shall go for SAST, DAST, or IAST? Means there shall be some parameters or application designing. Yeah. Please.
Let me tell you. Basically, when developer is developing, right? When developer is developing the application, he can go for SAST tool, right? Right, because it is covering all the आपका code, basically code, source code. So it will tell the vulnerability in source code, right? So SAST tool is better in that case, right? For developer, right? Then when functional people are testing, they can use the DST tool. It will give you the idea of functionality, means ki आपका runtime behavior of the application as well as the code source code error as well, right? And IST is for the basically when people are testing for the application for third party point of view, say they are testing the application, then they can give you the both the idea कि source code में problem है और इसमें problem है आपका front code में problem है और आपके running में run time में problem है. So IST is better used, like it's a मतलब based on situation where you are using, so you can use all these things at a time, right?
Can you give an example for IAST tools?
Pardon?
Is there any tools like Nessus Zap for DAST you told, right? Is there any tools for IAST, interactive application security testing?
Just a second, I'm just not. I'm not remembering right now. I will give you. I will write in the PPT. I'm not remembering right now because I'm not using this, right? So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sir, is there any
Sir-
specified time
sir,
duration in which it is recommended to carry out this DAST or IAST? I mean, like VAPT, I think it is 6 months or something. Or like when do we need to carry these out?
Basically, when you are, I told you, right, when you are doing the development, right? Development में you can use SST tool जैसे कि
Yeah, that is okay.
that
But
is
like
better.
IAST
Is it-
and
जैसे
DAST, sir.
as developer can use SonarQube, like SonarQube is the code quality and secure analysis application tool. ठीक है? This is the for developer. SonarQube is used by developer because it is giving the vulnerabilities in the code, right? Then AppNox is for mobile app security. Then DST tool like Nexus and JAP, when you have your code is developed, then you check it for the runtime and code as well. So JAP is there before deploying into the production. You have to run the JAP kind of thing, right? And IST is mix of both. Either you have IST tool, then you can use that also. Means it's all the flavors available. You can use any of them, but IST has better benefit that it is covering code as well as the runtime. That is the thing.
Okay.
Okay. So can I move
Sir,
forward?
sir,
Yeah.
sir,
Yeah.
what is the full form of JAP?
JAP is application name basically. ZAP is application name. It's a Nessus or JAP.
Okay,
Maybe some full form is there, but I am not aware of it.
okay, okay. Sir.
Okay. Then next is our vulnerability assessment. A vulnerability assessment is, what is vulnerability assessment? Can you tell something? Anybody can tell?
Weak point in a system.
Yeah, but finding the vulnerability in the system basically.
Yeah.
In this, a vulnerability assessment is a systematic review of security weakness in an information system. Suppose you have developed a system and it is a systematic review. It evaluates if there any suspicious thing happening in the application or some vulnerability is there, then we have to find it out. There are tools which are finding the vulnerabilities in the application. Then web application scanners are there that test for the site or web application, and it simulates like patterns like they are just trying to create the environment so that it will tell, means they are trying to brute force the thing, put the data malicious data so that it will give the errors. It will scan the applications basically. The tools are designed to test and simulate known attack patterns basically. These tools are basically what they do, they attack the application with the known attack pattern which is available in the market, means which it happened in the past. So they do that and analyze web application for potential vulnerability. Once you do the attack, then it will give you the vulnerability, potential vulnerability, and based on that, you can find out and patch that. Then protocol scanners are there that search for vulnerable protocols, ports, and networks. Basically, the protocol scanner they are searching the tokens are searching for vulnerability network protocols. Suppose ports, आपका कोई port open है, which is prone to hack, or services are open, which is prone. So they scan networks and system to detect weakness in protocols and services that could be exploited by attackers. So that is protocol scan, which scan the protocols and all. Then there are network scanners. These tools are used for identifying the vulnerability in the system. The network scanners are designed to visualize and map the network infrastructure. They identify active hosts, open ports, and connected devices on the network. This can be network scanners can identify the host, open ports, and connected devices on the network. This provide a comprehensive view of network topology, network scanners, and provide the helping us to detect the potential security issues and unauthorized devices. Right. So these are the network scanners. They help visualize networks and discover warning signals like stray IP address, spoof packets, and suspicious packets. Generate from a single IP. Suppose some packets are coming from some IP, then it will raise an alert that packets are coming from this IP and it is looking suspicious kind of thing, and just alarm the system administrator or create a log into system. So this vulnerability assessment, basically we are assessing the vulnerability. Then next topic is coming here is penetration testing. What is penetration testing basically? Any idea about penetration testing? Somebody was asking in last session penetration testing about.
So I think it is intentionally penetration of some vulnerability to check the system capability to identify that vulnerabilities.
Basically,
prevention.
yeah, you are right. Basically, penetration testing, it is often referred as a pen testing also, or ethical hacking. Basically, we are trying to create the environment like as hacker is hacking. Suppose a hacker want to hack our application, then what step he will do? That can be done by ethically. Means ki person is behaving like a hacker, but for the benefit of the application, finding the vulnerability and patch that. It is not कि मतलब he is trying to hack, he is trying to apply those criteria, hacking criteria, and just find out the vulnerability and patch that. So penetration testing, often referred to as pen testing or ethical hacking, basically. It's a simulated cyber attack on an organization's IT infrastructure, application system or network to identify vulnerabilities and assess the effectiveness of its security defenses. Basically, it's a simulated cyber attack, you can say. So the goal of this penetration testing is to evaluate the organization ability to protect its assets from real-world cyber threats and to identify potential weakness that malicious actors could exploit. Basically कि आपका जो भी malicious actor है, suppose कि you have organized a simulated cyber attack. So what a hacker will get from your application, that you will get from this penetration testing, and then you can try to patch that. So different from the network penetration, the application penetration is mostly focused on the application layer of TCP/IP model. Within the context of application penetration layer includes basically penetration testing. It is in the both the topic Monday and this today's topic. It's both the common thing. So I have covered it for both. I will cover something next slide also. So penetration testing is applicable on all types of website. Basically, open source CMS such as means any website we can do the penetration testing. All types of web application, including e-commerce, e-banking, and e-voting applications. These also include all types of applications residing in the cloud or providing as SaaS or PaaS. So all the web applications basically जो web से related है, that can be done. Penetration testing can be done on those. So now I move to next slide. Which is these are the penetration testing phases. The penetration testing process can be broken down into 5 stages basically. These are the 5 stages, that is planning and reconnaissance. This initial stage involves understanding the scope. Basically इसमें हम क्या करते हैं planning and इसमें कि we are understanding the scope and objective of the penetration test. Gathering information about the target system, what are the target system, and identifying the potential entry points and vulnerabilities.
Sir, sorry to interrupt, but I think your PPT is slides are not moving, sir.
Pardon?
Slides are not changing, sir.
Just a second. Oh, sorry. Okay, it's not. I think I was. It's moving now.
Yeah.
Okay. It's right now. Can you see?
Yes, sir. Currently 26 slides.
Right. Yes. In the stage of penetration testing, these are the 5 stages of penetration testing basically. One is planning and reconnaissance. इसमें test goals are defined and intelligence is gathered. इसमें हम लोग we are defining the test goals. What are the test goals basically? Understanding the scope and objective of the penetration test, क्या करना है हमको? What are the information? We have to gather information about the target system and identify potential entry points and vulnerabilities in penetration testing. The penetration testing team collaborates with the client to define the goals, rule of engagement, and other relevant details for assessment. Right. Then in second phase is scanning. Scanning tools are used to understand how a target responds to intruder. In this stage, basically, what we do, various tools and techniques to scan the target system. We use various tools and techniques to scan the target system or network for vulnerabilities. What are the vulnerabilities? We scan the system, like port scanning, we can do the application scanning and all those things. So to find out the vulnerabilities in the system. Then we're trying to gain the access. Once potential vulnerabilities are identified, we are trying to attack all those vulnerabilities one by one and trying to gain the access, basically gain the unauthorized access to exploit the system. Right? Suppose we have find out some port is open, then we try to find out what this port is, how vulnerable, and what we can use this. So we try to gain the access and enjoy the whole thing. Right? Then maintaining access. After gaining initial access, the penetration tester may try to maintain a persistent presence within the system. Means once he has succeeded to gain the access, then he will try to make it he can sustain that access and maintain that access, and so that he can come again and re-enter into the system by exploiting that vulnerabilities. So once you do this thing, that you will come to know, suppose somebody has entered in the system, then you can patch that port or block that port. If you don't have system, then user is free to come and go, and you will not come to know. So then, and after that, once it is done, analysis and reporting. After completing the penetration testing activities, the team analyzes the result to understand the impact of the identified vulnerabilities and the potential risks they pose to the organization. Once all the phases planning okay, then scanning okay, then you have gained the access, trying to gain the access, and in what access you are succeeded or able to maintain, you will analyze and report to the organization so that they can patch the vulnerabilities and secure their application. Right. So next slide. The different approach to penetration testing, basically there are three approaches, basically you can say, that is black box penetration testing, or you can say black or closed box penetration testing. Then there is a white box penetration testing or open box penetration testing. Then there is a gray, which is combination of black and white box penetration testing, right? So in this black box testing, we need not to have any knowledge of code and infrastructure. Like we are in black box testing, we are just like a hacker. We don't have any idea about the system, what is system and infrastructure, and we try to attack that system and find out the vulnerabilities. In white box testing, we have complete knowledge of code and infrastructure. And in gray box testing, some knowledge of code and infrastructure. So black box testing basically is a type of penetration testing where the ethical hacker penetration testers have no prior knowledge of access to internal working. ये कैसे होता है? मतलब black box में you need not to know the system, you don't know anything, and you try to just hit and trial methods you have tried and attack the system. So like this, these are the different approaches for penetration testing. Then we come to our this is our last slide as well. So this all covered from the last session. So this is all. Now we can move to next session. Any questions? If anybody has questions, then otherwise we can move to the next slide.
Sir, for us, we are in CNI maintenance.
Yeah.
We don't have such scope SAST or DAST because we are not developing any program.
Yeah.
But as a OT, we are working OT environment. Then we are checking once in a year. We are doing external audit through some CRT.
Okay.
How then say DAST and other tests are useful for us for only knowledge point of view, or
it's a knowledge point of view. Say basically ki how application suppose ki this is basically application development part. Basically application security is applied on applications. Basically suppose you are dealing in some way or getting developed your application, then you should know it is
development.
Right.
Okay.
Basically software applications. Right.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so I think we should move on next slide.
Sir, this is Anil
Yeah.
here. Hello.
Yeah, please.
I have a question. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
Anil here.
Yeah,
My question is that is there any standard for VAPT, right? Say we are doing a VAPT, vulnerability assessment and PT, but not as per the standard. You can say ISMS is there, ISO 27001. That is one
Yeah.
compliance framework, right?
Right.
But for VAPT, there is not a standard that we should do this much of things. Everybody is doing as per their understanding or as per their, you can say, approach. For VA also and
Basically,
for PT
yeah.
also. So is there any
Ba-
standard that minimum any organization should have that? So we can do
ba-
VAPT every alternate year according to that steps only.
Yeah. Basically, we have to. In our case, I can say that we are doing VAPT twice in a year, basically, and we engage some third-party agency like CDOT and all, and they are doing it for us, and they are giving the results, test result on top of that, and we are patching. And from the developer point of view, we are doing SAST and DST. Like we are using SonarQube
Yeah,
and JAP.
yeah,
These
right,
two are
sir. Yeah,
these.
yeah, right, sir. We are doing also, say every year we are doing vulnerability assessment, and every alternate year we are doing say PT every year or every 2 years alternation, right? That is
Right.
there. But scope of work of say VA or scope of work of for PT, that is again based on the customized requirement. Say
Sir,
we feel
it's
we
a
should
basically
have.
it. I tell you, okay, it's a gradual process. Basically, because the vulnerability keep coming. Something is secure today, you know, this is secure, but next day it may be vulnerable because some vulnerability has been exploited. So it is a continual process, and you have to keep doing it. And there is no certain standard, but you have to जो known basically known errors हैं या known आपके vulnerabilities हैं, you have to find it out in your application and patch that. It's a gradual process, right? If you say.
Right. Okay.
You cannot, matlab, it is not, matlab, no standard is there ki you have to do this much VAPT, so your application is 100% secure. You cannot say that. Even Microsoft and big organization Google, they are also keep doing it because the vulnerability keep coming because hackers are doing their work and we are doing our work, right? So it's keep coming. Right. Okay. Thank you. Then we are moving to next slide now.
I have a small question.
Yeah, please. Yeah, can we take it later after this slide because we are running on short of time. Otherwise, we have to cover all the second PPT as well. Can we take it later, please?
Basically, when we run this VAPT, does it
Yeah.
affect the system performance also? Because do we run
No,
it in live environment or we make a dummy of the thing?
VAPT, you will not do an actual production server. Basically, VAPT, you have to create a test environment of that application and run on that. It's not recommended you do the VAPT in production server ever, right? So
that means we need to create a dummy of the whole thing, the gateway from the gateway to the. All the layers are coming to picture.
If you are no, I'm not saying that networks will be the same. Network will be the same, but application can if you are I'm telling it in the point of view of the application, suppose. So you have to create the test environment for that application and do that on that application, right? Because we are talking about application, we are not talking about network security and all, right? We are talking about application security. So my point is ki you have to create a duplicate copy of application and run the VAPT test on that only. It should not be on the production system application, right?
Okay.
Yeah. This is the security threat to applications basically. Then in this we are going to cover web application security, threats and attacks, then web application attack detection, then web traffic, then web application VAPT, SSL and TLS. What is SSL and TLS? Then digital certificates, right? So these are the topics which we are going to cover today. So now web application security threats and attacks. So there is a diagram. Are we able to see? Is it visible?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's visible.
Right. So first of all, can anybody tell what is the difference between web applications and website?
So web application is application which are published on the web and can be accessed through browser.
Okay.
And website is kind of static sites could be dynamic, but those websites giving some information about the company, or if it is in e-commerce, then giving information about the product, or could be a sales site. But application basically contains all the, I mean, it's basically publishing application over the web page.
Yeah, Saurabh want to say something, I think, no? Saurabh has raised the hand. Yeah, you are quietly close. You are right. Basically,
web application are those which require authentication, whereas websites, they are not necessary to require authentication to access that.
Right. This is also quite close. Basically, websites are made for mostly to display some information regarding the company and its whereabouts. Basically, websites are those things. But it's for displaying the information. It need not to have authentication system, because any site you can open, it will not ask for password. It will ask for the password only for those sections which is for administrator or something is kind of functionality is there, right? And in web applications are made for interaction with users and additional functionality, like our intranet website, suppose, where you need not to fill a form, you can have interact with the system, then that is web applications basically, right? Web applications are made for interaction with users and additional functionality such as ability to make transaction online or e-commerce, as you said, e-commerce site. Those are web applications basically, right? Like Amazon.com. These are web applications, right? It's not website. Website is something like your organization website, just cbap.org, let's say, or something from your site. That is website. It's a minor difference. It's not a big difference, but yeah, it is there. Web applications are basically computer programs allowing website visitors to submit and retrieve data. Also, they are database behind that applications. So mostly applications are dynamic in nature. Website may be static, may be dynamic, right? Maybe it is fetching data from CMS, then it is dynamic website, but ultimately it is less user interaction kind of thing. Means you cannot just log in into any website, right? So that is the thing. Website targeting application, one of the most common. Now, web application security threats में क्या है? What are the web application security threats? Basically, web application security threats is cyber attack. So ensure adequate safety against web application security threat, business should incorporate security consideration in the application development phase. Basically, these are the cyber, मतलब cyber attack हमारा जो होता है आपका, this is on web applications and website both. What is the benefit of attack to the user and user? What can he achieve from attacking your website or web application?
We can brought down that application down. If we are competitor, we can brought it down.
Yeah.
This can
Down,
be
and
one
he
of
can
the-
also
other thing is we can steal the data, because
encrypt the
web
data.
application is connecting to data. If we
Right.
are hacking an application, we can steal the data and use
Yeah.
it for our purpose. This can be one of the motive. Another motive can be to defame that company, that our data is not safe with these companies, so do not work with them.
Right,
All
right.
these things can be done.
Yeah, he can also ransom as well. Means he can, money is the motive back behind it. That will be the motive, right? So now I am moving to the top 10 vulnerabilities for OWASP. As per the OWASP, basically, OWASP is the stand for the Open Web Application Security Project. You can say OWASP. It's a non-profit organization, and which is focusing on basically security of web applications, and it provides a range of resources, tools, you can say, and it will give you knowledge to help developers basically how to make more secure software, right? So OWASP is a organization, non-profit organization, which is giving you the way how to make the more secure softwares. So these are the basically things which need to be checked. This is basically identified as top 10. Number 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are the 10. one of the most well-known resource provided by OWASP is the OWASP Top 10, which lists the 10 most critical web application security risks. These are the 10 most critical security risks in OWASP, which is listed by OWASP. And this risk is list is regularly updated to reflect the evolving threat landscape. जो भी आपका मतलब जो threats आते हैं, this list is keep updating by the OWASP. So now we will cover one by one all the activities, vulnerabilities basically, which is on the web applications. So current top 10 web application security risks identified by OWASP are listed below. Number 1 is broken access control, right? What is broken access control? Any idea? Anybody can give some idea?
So you are not audible to me.
Anybody else is facing such problem? Maybe ma'am, you
Oh,
can
no,
check
sir.
your.
Now you are audible. Now you are audible, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So,
Sir, like
I'm talking.
suppose I was working in an organization and now I have gone to another organization, but my
Right.
authentication is not removed. This
Right.
is generally happening. So this can be one of the example of broken access control.
This can be one example, or either I am a user and I impersonate somebody like that, or I got the resources to get that system. Like suppose I have shared my password, username password to my junior, and he has just. So that is broken access control basically. So broken access control basically vulnerability occur when restriction on what users are allowed to do or not properly enforced. Means ki somebody is restricted to do something and that another person gain the access falsely and is trying to allow to do that thing, right? So that is unauthorized access basically. This means that unauthorized user can gain access to sensitive data, functionality or resource that should not be allowed to access him. It often results basically क्यों होता है ऐसा? Because की improper or missing access controls or allowing attackers to escalate privilege access other users data or perform unauthorized actions. So how can we fix this? How can we fix this? Means we have to have better security controls, access control basically. So some common example of broken access control or privilege escalation. Suppose a user gains unauthorized
Either we
access.
can use ACL list. For preventing it, we can use access control.
Yeah, access control mechanism should be there.
Multiple authentication. This can be used.
Right.
Single sign-on can be used.
Yeah, single sign-on can be used, but what if suppose somebody has shared the password then? Like that means yeah, somebody has trying to gain the access by suppose your session is not out and somebody has got the PC access of the PC and he's something like that. So this is basically आपका broken access control. Then next is cryptographic failures. Basically in this case, cryptography is a today computing world. It is an implemented technology like protocol, HTTPS, FTPS. These are basically it is a man in middle attack, you can say cryptographic attack. Suppose you are trying to connect through a site and something in middle in the network and try to get the access in between and change the data and falsify the data and entered into the system. Like real world example is weak ciphers है आपका जैसे या unencrypted admin credential. Suppose in our website or application we are trying to send our credentials unauthorized, means plain text mein. It is not encrypted. Suppose you have not send the encrypted credentials and it is in plain text, then somebody can gain the access and encrypt it, or your cryptography ciphers are not that strong, right? Since cryptography is used to and has many different implementations, there are several ways for vulnerabilities to occur. This could be through implementation errors using weak encryption methods, not encrypting data at all, and much more. Therefore, a cryptographic methods failure. इसमें क्या होता है आपका बेसिकली जैसे कि your credit card information. It is not encrypted and you are trying to purchase something and entered your credit card information, and which is gained by the network spoofing, and somebody has trying to get the data and use that card. So means when your application is not things are not properly encrypted. So such kind of failures can happen. Suppose you have uses a cryptographic method, which is basically your password is some common password, let's say 1 2 3 4 5, and you have send it through, and you have encrypted as well. But hacker can do what he can do. He has the hashes of all those weak password, and he can match that hash, and again he can guess the password. So that are the cryptographic failures. Basically, your cryptography should be strong to avoid the malicious attacks. Then there are injection flaws. This allows basically आपका injection flaw is SQL, NoSQL, OS and LDAP injection occur when untrustworthy data is sent to program as part of command or query. इसमें क्या होता है injection में कि some untrustworthy data. Suppose कि you have a form in a website, you have to fill a form, right? And data validation is not done properly, right? And somebody has tried to send a command or query through that input field, right? Suppose ki there is field string field, right? You have to put a name, but its maximum length is not defined. Like maximum length of name should be maximum 50 characters or 100 characters, but it is open. And in background, you have not defined the proper data types and all. So once SQL injection, he can send the commands or query and run that command. Like he can delete the databases, he can update the database, he can deface the databases and gain the access also. So such kind of thing which is injected. Basically, malicious code is injected basically. That is the thing. So what are the mitigations? So how can we mitigate those injection flaws? So in this, we need to do server-side input validation is a must. Basically, there are two types of validations. One is client-side and one is server-side. What is client-side validation and server-side validation? Can anybody tell?
Is it related to public and private key?
No. Client-side validation
Client
and
side,
server. Client-side
client
validation
side
basically.
on client browser, it validation is done. On server side, it is done by server side validation.
Server-side validation. Basically, once you log in into the system and send let's say a form login gmail.com, and you have submitted your username and password, then first of all your username which you have entered like email and password will be checked in the client side. Your browser will check that, means there are validation written in the system application which is checked in client side. Once it is checked in client side, suppose you have to write an email, so they are checking it whether it is written, it is email exactly or something else is written, like it should be at the rate one dot be there .com. So that validation is there, that is done by then at the client side. Then next level pe, once it is going to the server, suppose you have entered your username and password xyz at abc.com and password, then it goes to the server basically, and server may again it will be server side, it will again checked ki what is coming, it is really an email or something else. So that is server side validation. So matlab client side validation is one thing, but server side validation is a must. So in that case,
OTP is, I think OTP is server side validation.
No. OTP is a multi-factor authentication. Basically, it's not server-side validation. It is a multi-factor authentication. Ki apart from password, it is verifying that you are that person, right? So it is two-level authentication. You can say one is your password. You have supplied your username password, and then it is asking for OTP to just doubly ensure that you are the same person which username password is being entered, right? So that is one thing. Server side validation is ki matlab suppose you have sent the email ID. So what it is ki it has reached up to the server that email ID only. It's not ki somebody has changed the data in between, right? So that is the thing. Then you have to use safe APIs to avoid interpreters completely. Means ki you have to use safe APIs. APIs should be also well authenticated. It cannot be open APIs. Then you can use intrusion detection system to spot suspicious behavior. अगर कोई आपका IDS system should be there, which is spotting the suspicious behavior of the application. Suppose it is not the proper way. Suppose in your Gmail, or suppose you have in your bank website, if you have access, suppose you are accessing your bank website in one laptop, and next time suppose you are trying to access the same website from another laptop, you will get a OTP. Otherwise, if you log in with the same laptop, it will not ask for OTP. It is just because of your suspicious behavior. It's suspicious because you are not used to log in from this PC. So it is suspect and it is checked. It is being checked. So you have also faced similar kind of thing, right? It is just because of that. Because the system identifies, your IDS identify your behavior is suspicious because you are not used to log in from this system earlier, and now you are logging from the system. So it is making it W0 and send you a OTP. And once you pass through, then it will allow you to go. So this is the thing. Then it is again to avoid the injection flaw. Parameterized queries. Parameterized queries basically once you are inserting the data into database, right? So you have to declare the data type of that parameter. Like suppose you have sent the name. So name should be character type, and it should be, let's say, length should be defined, like 50 characters should be there for the length. So it will be parameterized query, means you cannot directly write the DDL statement insert into this database. So you have to use the parameterized query, which is telling the application if this data type is going to come in database. So if that data type is not there, it will stop the query to execute. So this is the thing for injection flaw. Then there are the other type of vulnerability security threat, that is insecure design. Insecure design is a wide range category that represent different weaknesses basically. मतलब कि आपका lead to poor security controls basically. It reflects the industry's growing focus on creating secure designing app. बेसिकली आपकी जो एप्लीकेशन की डिजाइन बाय डिजाइन ही आपकी वीक एप्लीकेशन है, लाइक कि आपने जो डिजाइन किया एप्लीकेशन, लेट्स से कि आपका जो पैरामीटर है, लेट्स से आप यू आर गेटिंग एनी इनपुट फ्रॉम द एप्लीकेशन एंड दैट इज नॉट प्रॉपर्ली वैलिडेटेड, लाइक कि टेक्स्ट बॉक्स है आपका, अगर आपका डेट टाइप कैरेक्टर डालना है, डेट टाइप है, इट शुड बी डेट टाइप, इट शुड बी एक्सेप्ट ओनली न्यूमेरिक कैरेक्टर्स, इट विल बी करेक्ट. तो डिजाइन से डिजाइन टाइप आपका इनसिक्योर डिजाइन की वजह से ये हो जाता है. इसमें क्या होता है कि मिटिगेशन integrate security right into the STLC stage and leverage robust security practice from the early stage. In this, how to avoid these vulnerabilities? Basically, it is been taken care at the time of development, right from the development, because ki once form is developed, then you have to, otherwise you have to patch this kind of vulnerability. You need to again go through all the design and patch that. So it's better you should patch it on development time, at the time of development. Then establish a library of secure design patterns, components, frameworks, etc. that are ready and safe to use for new applications. So what it is suggesting basically in secure design, we should have a library, code library. Suppose we are writing, suppose in normal applications, what we are doing CRUD operation normally, like create, update, delete. So these CRUD view and delete, right? So these CRUD operations should be performed on a regular basis, and some like uploading the file. So we should have a common library of these kind of codes, and which can be which is tested properly, and it is used by all the developers, so that the vulnerability chances of having the vulnerability is less. Then you can use threat modeling for designing critical features like access control, authentication, business logic, key flows, etc. But we have the proper documentation and proper model should be adopted, so that to avoid these kind of things. Each level of the application should include plausibility test. Basically आपका टेस्ट करके ही आगे बढ़ना है नेक्स्ट में, मतलब कि otherwise once you not test at the design level, it will go to further level and application will be create a chaos kind of thing. Then next is our security misconfiguration. What is security misconfiguration? It's a basically insecure default configuration and incomplete configuration. So it's a like कि आपने basically in server we say we should block all and open only those things which are applicable. But normally we do what we do, we go it in default mode, right? So default we rely on default configuration and incomplete configurations. So these kind of vulnerability, like suppose we have configure application and we have left it on default mode. So hardening, server hardening is not done. So 90% of applications had this kind of vulnerability, because once you have asked the hardware person to make the server ready, and he has made the server ready and it is on default mode and everything is open. In default mode, everything is open. So you have to patch, think of it and close the thing, so that to avoid this kind of vulnerability. Normally this kind of vulnerabilities having in all the system normally. For example, improper permissions, enabling a necessary feature, default accounts and password, misconfigured HTTP headers, verbose error message, etc. So how to mitigate this kind of misconfiguration? We need to harden up security using fast, easy to deploy processes. Then use pre-configured templates with different credentials to configure development, QA and production identically. Means we have a pre-configured template for both the credentials. Suppose we should be a testing server and then a production server. We cannot directly test on the things on production server. So first you check all those things in the quality assurance system, then move it to the production system. And both the systems will be identical, so that any vulnerability tested on QA can be replicated on production server and patched in both the system. You have to we can maintain a library of securely configured container images. Basically, suppose we have created we have configured a server, so we can create an image of that server so that same can be replicated by creating the new system. Then we have to remove also unused feature. Service and deploy an application with minimal setup. Means we should start with the minimal setup and open only those ports and things which are necessary for the applications. Not all we should open all and application will run. We should know what we are doing, and we should open only those things which is required by your applications, right? And we should regularly update and patch configurations. These are the things which are security misconfiguration, comes under security misconfiguration. These are the top 5 coming under top 5 OAuth vulnerability. So this is one type of that. Then vulnerable and outdated components. This is another kind of vulnerability, basically, which is we are using some component, third-party components and all, which is vulnerable, because third-party component, they are not bothering about their vulnerabilities and all, and you have used, so you have make your code less, you have made your code vulnerable due to that by using that component. Like, so it can be arises as well from the unsupported and outdated components, software libraries, frameworks, etc., which is unsupported or out of support, or maybe we are used to use some third-party tools which is free sometimes. So they have developed something and we are using in our application. After some time, that company gone closed and we are still using those libraries, and some vulnerabilities occurred and we are in the soup. So that is a problem. So how to mitigate that vulnerability? This is maintain an updated inventory of all components used in the application with their version. So we should maintain all the inventory of components which are used in our application, right? And their version as well, so that we should keep checking whether it is updated version, is what we are using is updated or not. Is there any vulnerability reported for this particular component? If it is, then we need to patch it as soon as possible. It should not be waiting for the things to happen, then only we are patching. So it should be proactive approach, not the reactive. Once the things are attacked, then we are going to patch that. So these are the mitigation tools. Then continuously scan components, libraries and their dependencies for vulnerability. We can scan the components. Then keep all components updated. If patches are not immediately available, apply virtual patches. Then remove unused legacy and outdated components. We should not keep legacy or unused code into the server, because nobody used to see those things, and that can be prone to hack, because those are the, suppose sometimes we used to develop test pages or some pages which are login, which is authorized for the just testing purpose, and move to that those pages to the production, that can be also vulnerable and can be exploited by the user hackers basically. Then we should use component software etc from official and trustworthy sources. मतलब whatever the components we are using on our application, it should be proper from their official website. We should download it from their official website and trustworthy sources. It should not be key search the Google and find the patch and we have applied that third-party component in our application, which can be very vulnerable, right? Then there is a seventh vulnerability, that is identification and authentication failures. In this, basically, confirmation of the user identity, authentication, and session management is critical to protect against authentication related attacks. इसमें basically आपका जो it happens because of weak or well-known password. Suppose कि your application is permitting default or weak password, right? Suppose कि well-known password, suppose 1 2 3 4 5. There are list of weak passwords, and once the hacker can run those passwords through across the application, and it can tell you कि with suppose it's a luck kind of thing, it will crack the password in 5 minutes, like that. Weak passwords can be hacked. So if your application are permitting default password or weak password, then this vulnerability can occur. Then use weak or ineffective credentials, recovery and forget password processes. If suppose you are trying to, user can try to use forget password loop. Suppose I don't have any password and I try to forget password, and then the recovery system that is weak. Then again this kind of vulnerability is used. Suppose I can ask what is your name. Suppose there are questions or hint in that, in which you can put your what is my name, and somebody is knowing you can easily put your name and go ahead further and reset the password and get the access of your application. Either use plain text, encrypted or weakly hashed password data stores. Either in our application we are saving our password in plain text. 1 second. In our application, it should be avoided, like using plain text, encrypted or weakly hashed password data stores. This also avoided. This should be avoided. Then has missing or ineffective multi-factor authentication. But the application should have multi-factor authentication. अगर ये नहीं है, if it is not there, then application is vulnerable. It should be CAPTCHA should be there, or multiple factor authentication should be there to avoid such kind of authentication failures or this kind of vulnerability basically. Then exposes session identifier in the URL. One kind of vulnerability, you are in your URL, you are just exposes a session identifier, so that somebody can enter into session can copy it and that can be accessed. Reuse session identifier after successful login means suppose you have pressed the logout button, but still once you log in, your application is allowing you to log in. So that is again a problem. So it should be avoided at the application level. Basically, these are the things which should be taken care by the developer at the time of development of the application. So, and it is also thinking multi-factor authentication is a must. Don't use the default credential. Implement a strong password policy. Deploy a secure session manager that generated time-limited session. Monitor failed login attempts and set limits and deploy on the same. Basically, क्या है कि you need to also monitor the login attempts. Basically, it should be application should create a proper log of the application. Who has logged in at what time and what are the login attempts he has done, and we should also log the password, log the system after 3 login attempts, three failed login attempts. We should log the password so that user cannot try more and it will be avoided. Then strengthen registration, credential recovery, and other authentication related processes. This is all about the identification or authentication failure. And further they move to software and data integrity failures. Any idea what it may be? ये तो हम लोग करते हैं basically software data integrity and data integrity failures. Anybody can tell what is this? Basically software and this vulnerability highlights the need to verify the integrity of software updates. Basically क्या है कि you should update या patch on regular basis. Given the rise in supply chain attacks and their massive impact, so ensure the legitimacy of the software or data programs and its source through digital signature or similar measures. Like ki, suppose you have downloaded some software or something, then hash should be matched and it should be installed only. Then only in the production server. It should not be from the any source. You can download the system and application or software and install into the server, right? Then continuously review code and configuration for modifications. We should continuously review the code and configuration of modifications of the system. कैसे आपको how you can make sure that the software data integrity is there, right? Ensure that libraries and dependencies use trusted repositories. You can host an internal approved and known repository if your risk profile is higher. So we can create a repository of the libraries and use it from there only. Then unencrypted serialized data must not be delivered to untrustworthy clients, so incorporate integrity checks. We should have those integrity checks for that matter. Then 9th part is security logging and monitoring failures. Anybody has any idea about this? What is security logging? What should we do in this kind of vulnerability to avoid this kind of vulnerability? Anil? Am I audible?
Yes, very much.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, any hint? Anybody can tell what is security logging monitoring failures?
So maybe
it-
to
is it-
avoid the brute force attack.
The topic is boring, I think, or you are not able to understand. Any feedback?
So does it mean
Yes.
basically we should monitor our server for logging failure? Like for example, if somebody is trying to attack on our server for a logging, so we should monitor those logs and try to overcome, try to take corrective measures. Is it
Right.
like that?
Yeah, basically क्या है कि our application should be written like this कि we should log all the activities like what action user is taking, that should be logged, so that कि once something happens we can identify the system person who has come, yeah, something happened in our system, right? Because you cannot keep checking every time on the system. So by log you can, by
Identify.
seeing the log you can able to know what has happened. So ensure all login access controls and server side input validation failures can be logged. Suppose कि कोई आपका login हो रहा है, then it should be logged. Access control, anybody has accessed some page, then it is logged. Server side input validation failures can be logged. मतलब कि suppose कि कोई there are some server side validation which is got failed, so that has to be logged. So once we do this type of log monitoring, then we come to know okay, this is somebody is trying to access or gain the access falsely. So it can be known and we can patch that thing from where it is trying to attack, what the vulnerability is exploiting. So that can be monitored. Basically logging and monitoring. कि आप पहले application when you are developing the application, you should log all the incident, all the validations and failures, and after that you can monitor the thing from that log. Ensure that logs are generated in format that can be consumed by log management solutions, because there log management solutions are there basically. So those solutions are able to read those logs, and that log can be monitored, and they can raise the alarm if some suspicious activity have been happened. So that is the thing. Then ensure log data is encoded correctly to prevent injection or attacks and the logging. So कि आपका log data जो है that is encoded correctly कि some injection kind of activities happen. Then ensure high value transaction have an audit trail. Suppose is there any high value transaction, then audit trail should there ki who has logged in at what time, then what action he has taken. Then that can be, so that we can try to get the trail ki what is happening, what has happened at that time. Suppose some mishappening is happened, then we can find out through that log what happened, right? This is the log monitoring. Then next is server-side request forgery, SSRF basically. Server-side request forgery is a type of security vulnerability that occurs when an attacker is able to manipulate or trick a server into making unintended and potentially malicious requests to other internal or external system. Suppose ki attacker is trying to manipulate himself and trick server like कि it is unintended potential malicious request. कोई malicious request नहीं है. In SSRF attacks क्या करता है? The server is forced into sending HTTP request to unintended destination, which may lead to unauthorized access to sensitive information, data. Normally, this kind of application is vulnerability happen when a web application allow that user to specify input from URL. Suppose ki you have seen ki there are URLs. You understand the URL? Basically, the address written on the address bar. Then, if you have ever noticed that ki there are some fields like A equal to this or B equal to this, something like that, and sometimes it is in plain text as well. So, by fiddling that URL thing, you can try to make this server-side request forgery kind of thing. So here is a step-by-step explanation of how SSRF attacks works. So it is user input. The vulnerable web application allows user to input URL or network location that the server needs to fetch data from. Suppose in this, we are trying to put the URL. Then crafting malicious input. The attacker provides a specifically crafted URL as input, which could include private IP, address, internal network resource, or URL to external server that the attackers want to interact with. And then exploiting internal services. Attackers might use SR to interact with internal services that should not be exposed to the public, such as admin panels or development environments. By doing this, he can gain the reach up to the admin panel, and then he can start network scanning from, suppose he has able to gain the access to one server, one PC or one server. Then from there, he can scan the other ports and try to get into the network system. Then he can also do the denial of service kind of attack. In some cases, SRF can be used to conduct DOS attacks. Once he gain the system, falsely entered in the system, then he can stop the services and fiddle with the servers. So denial of service or DOS can be happen through the system. So this is the server side. This is all about the top 10 OWASP vulnerabilities basically. So now this is covering the OWASP thing. Then our next topic is web application attack detection. So this is saying that despite their advantage, web application do raise several security concerns stemming from improper coding. Secure weakness vulnerability allow attackers to gain access to database and over. Basically, how to detect the attacks? How will we detect that the application is attacked? Our application is attacked. We can come to know for this by the log. Suppose the log monitoring tool are getting the hint that somebody has attacked the system. So recent research shows that 75% of cyber attacks are done at the web application level. Normally जो cyber attacks हो रहे हैं आपके ये web applications में ही हो रहे हैं. They are attacking into web application system. And the most common thing, as we have discussed in the OWASP top 10, like SQL injection is the one of them, SSRF is the thing, cross-site scripting is there, then our insecure designs due to that, broken access control. These are the things by which user means the attackers trying to attack our application, and cyber attacks is used to perform. These are the top 10 vulnerabilities which we have shared, right? Then there are the application security technique for the web application. How to detect the web application attack detection basically. So there are techniques for detecting the attack in web application. अभी हमने पढ़ा कि what we have read कि what are the top 10 vulnerabilities. Now we have detection techniques like static techniques and dynamic techniques is again here. Then dynamic testing में it is anomaly based and signature based. These are the two kind of testing. In dynamic testing and static testing, technique is in detection technique. It is broadly categorized into two main types, static technique and dynamic techniques. Web application attack detection using static techniques. Both of these techniques have the purpose of identifying and mitigating potential security vulnerabilities and attacks in web applications. Whether be it a static technique or dynamic technique, but both are the used for the purpose to identify and mitigate the potential security risk, right? So in a static technique, basically, a static technique involves examining the web application source code, configuration files, and other non-executable artifacts without executing the application. It's again the same thing, static application, which I told you in SAST, right? Static technique is in web application. The same thing, we are examining the code in this. This analysis typically performed during the development or deployment phases and focus on identifying potential security weakness in the code base. Some common static techniques for web application attack detection include code review. For web review, we do the code review. In this, the manual or automated inspection of the application source code to identify security flaws such as SQL injection, XSS, CSRF, and other vulnerabilities. We are through code review, we are trying to find out this kind of vulnerability. This is static technique basically, and it happens usually post occurrence of the event. Then syntax analysis, analyze the code for programming errors, common coding mistakes, and insecure coding practices. These are the techniques. These are the method by which we can detect the attack. That is code review. Then syntax analysis, we should analyze the code of syntax. Then security scanning tools. There are security scanning tools also, which by using this automated security scanning tools that analyze the source code and configure file to detect security issues. And dependency list analysis, because there are vulnerability, there are third-party libraries which are dependent. Applications are dependent on the third-party library, and that component is used within the application. So dependency analysis also can be done. In same way, the main advantage of static technique is that they can uncover vulnerabilities early in the development life cycle, allowing developers to fix issues before the application goes into production. And then again come into picture dynamic technique. Dynamic is observing the web application while it is running and process real user requests. This approach is performed in a production-like environment and focus on understanding how the application behaves in response to various inputs and interactions. Then again, penetration testing, ethical hacker simulate real world. We can also do the penetration testing on the web application, and we again simulate the ethical hacker and real world example is there. Then again here we have mentioned static detection technique like data source to look at when some cyber attack has happened. Then where we should look at web server log. We can look at web server logs for the detecting the detecting the vulnerability. What happened? We can it's a forensic kind of thing. Once attack has happened, then where we can look at the web server logs, application server logs, web applications custom audit trail, and operating system log. These are the logs where we can look for the footprint of the hacker, what he has done. By this, we can identify who has come, who has accessed the system, how he is trying to identify the things what he has done in our system. Then what's missing in static data technique is post data only get data available basically, because post data जो है, that is not there. Only get data what is received at the system, it is available. We don't have the post data. Then HTTP headers only partially represented. In this, we are getting the HTTP headers only. Then what are the limitations of static detection techniques? हमारी क्या है? And HTTP header attacks cannot be detected. Header attacks can be detected. Attacks that overflow various HTTP header fields. Basically, कि once attack is done, then header में जो भी he has tried to put that into header, that can be overflow, and that can be application can be stopped, or you can say website can be hacked and defaced, something like that. Then web application attacks in a post form क्या होता है? That is post form में it is through SQL injection. Suppose कि somebody has posted the malicious code or a piece of code which can harm your application, that is through SQL injection, or then cross-site scripting like that. Then forceful browsing. इसमें क्या होता है? What is this in forceful browsing? User tries to access page without going through prior pages. That would ensure proper authentication or authorization. This forceful browsing means कि he has no username, password, or authorization, but he is trying to access that page by bypassing the things. Dynamic detection technique में क्या होता है इसमें? Again, we can do it through this application firewall. Suppose application firewall in place, so somebody is trying to attack your system, then application firewall will stop that system to attack. Yeah, inline application IDS, intrusion detection system should be there, which is in line with the application, and it will stop the hacker to go further. Then network based IDS, possibly these IDS will be covered in your next slide, next course, next day means I think 10th or 11th. That is there. IDS is there, is a part of that. So I'm just telling you the name, then further it will be explained by the Murli sir, I think. Then what are the advantages? Complete packet headers and payload available. When in dynamic technique we have complete packet headers and payloads available, so that we can do the forensics, including HTTP headers, post request data, and URL request data. These are available, and we can do the testings in that. Then dynamic techniques. The web application intrusion detection space is divided into two possibilities: signature based and anomaly based. Each had its own implementation and effectiveness issues. So further, yeah. In this, basically, we have two kind of dynamic detection techniques. One is signature based and second one is anomaly based. So now it is topic to understand what is the signature based basically. Any idea what are the signature based detection and what is the anomaly based detection? Anybody can give some light on this? Basically, web application attack detection can be classified into two main approaches: signature based and anomaly based. Signature based detection में क्या होता है कि it also known as rule based detection basically relies on predefined patterns or signature of known attack patterns. Suppose कि we have earlier this kind of attack has happened or signature is there, so we know that and we try to match that pattern, the current pattern which has happened to us, try to match that with existing patterns. These signatures are specific to known vulnerabilities and attacks patterns commonly used by attackers. जो attacker basically normally use करते हैं पहले, earlier they have used, so databases of that kind of signature is there and it is trying to match from that system. It is so it is signature based basically such kind of thing already happened in the past, and we are trying to match this it is the same thing which is happening or something else. These signatures are specific to known vulnerability and attack pattern commonly used by attackers. When incoming web traffic matches any of these signatures, it indicates a potential attack, and appropriate actions can be taken to block or mitigate the threat. So by signature, identifying the signature. So what are the advantage of signature-based detection? Effective against well-known and documented attack patterns. Suppose कि it is effective कि signature-based pattern because effective है कि we know कि this is the document attack pattern. So suppose this kind of attack is happened, document means कि signature-based. So then we know how to mitigate that because कि it's already happened thing and we know. Suppose कि we have a virus and that is known virus, then we know कि this is a tool for a remedy for this virus and you can easily remove that. So similar way, if it is signature based detection, then it is effective against well-known and documented attack patterns. Then low false positive rates because it is based on precise signature. Means कि इसमें false positive means कि chances of failure is less because कि it is precise signature, you know, then less chances of कि it will not mitigated by the things. Whether you can apply the patches or things which is prescribed against that vulnerability. Provide a quick response to known threats. You can take quick decision. Suppose the threat is known already and that is already happened with somebody else. So you know the remedy and you can get it done. Then what are the limitations of signature based detection? Basically there are limitation is ineffective against new or 0-day attack because suppose a new attack has happened. Suppose today one new attack is launched. So it is ineffective because you don't have that kind of, you don't have any thing in your database, this kind of pattern. So you don't know that signature. So it is new for you and you have to hit and try how to cover, means mitigate that attack. It is the limitation of signature based detection basically. Then requires constant update to keep up with emerging threats, and you need to update the database constantly to make this signature based authentication effective. Any new vulnerability come into the market, then you need to update that signature into database so that next time it will cover and catch that signature based detection that can be identified basically. Similar kind of attacks. It can be bypassed by attacking user evasion technique that modify attack payloads to avoid detection. And user means hacker is also smart and he knows this is signature based attack. So he knows and he can try to hide himself. Like they say your coronavirus is trying to change his pattern or something like that. So he is trying to modify into the signature and just trying to avoid so that it cannot be detected by the system. Then we come to the anomaly based detection system. Anomaly based detection system are basically it is nothing but is trying to identify the suspicious behavior that is unknown. Means suppose a user pattern is there, suppose you come into the system and log in into 9 o'clock and log out at 6 o'clock. But then anomaly based detection focuses on identifying abnormal or unusual behavior that deviates from the expected pattern of web application uses. This approach involves establishing a baseline of normal behavior and then continuously monitoring web traffic for any deviations from that baseline. Means it is anomaly based mein kya hai it is identifying what is obvious. A baseline is made out of what is obvious things, right? And then if that is not a means user continuously tell this is activity, this is me, this is obvious, this is obvious. But when you define this is not obvious or this odd hours we are not going to access our application. So if somebody is trying to access your application in odd hours, suppose that application is not allowed from outside of India and somebody is trying to open that or access that application, then it is raise alert. That is anomaly based detection, which is totally based on user behavior, unusual behavior or abnormal behavior, right? Then this is the difference basically, signature based and anomaly based. Best used for identifying known threats. Anomaly based suspicious behavior that is unknown. Anomaly based में क्या होता है कि behavior that is unknown and best for identifying known threats. Then signature based में using a pre-programmed list of known threats and their indicators of compromise IOCs जो भी आपके हैं. Then utilize machine learning to train the detection system to recognize and normalize baseline. Basically, it is learning machine learning जो कि it is identifying that this is the normal behavior of the user. So they make a baseline based on that and checking the system against that baseline. कि suppose this is the time or this activity is genuine and this is not genuine. Then HiQuery ये signature based में क्या होता है आपका higher accuracy and processing speed because कि since signature based में you are knowing the vulnerability and if you caught the vulnerability you know the remedial as well, so it is more accurate and higher accuracy. And in this anomaly based increased likelihood for false positive because कि you have make a baseline standard, but suppose कि you make a baseline standard कि your application is not being accessed at the time of after 9 to 6, but yeah, somebody has can log in, maybe he is right person, but a false positive will come. It will alert key means somebody has tried to log in the system by 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock. But maybe that is false positive because maybe the genuine user or legitimate user trying to enter into the system, right? Then signature based में cannot detect 0-day exploits. The drawback of this कि मतलब he cannot detect 0-day exploits आपका. What are the 0-day? Suppose any new vulnerability come, then their signature is not available and it cannot be patched. Anomaly based में able to detect 0-day exploit. Suppose कि it may not be, but there are chances better than signature based. Easier to implement and cheaper. Most legacy IDS solutions employ some type of signature based intrusion detection. It may require more resource and costlier because you need to make the baseline standard set and check against that. So this is anomaly based is more costlier than this signature based anomaly. Then how to analyze those packets and all. So these are the tools basically which is used for the capturing web traffic. Suppose कि you want to identify the packet or it's a basically web traffic monitoring. It's a regular work. Suppose कि somebody has seen something unsuspicious or something like that, then he can use that tool which is available in the market. It's a Wireshark or Fiddler. Basically, Wireshark is a widely used open source network protocol analyzer that allows users to capture, analyze, and inspect network traffic in real time. Originally known as Ethereal. Earlier it was known as Ethereal, but now it is known as Wireshark software. So Wireshark basically what it does, it provides a comprehensive interface for understanding the data flowing through computer networks, helps user troubleshoot network issues, identify security vulnerabilities, and gain insight into network behavior. Means कि through Wireshark we can understand the data flow through computer networks, see what data is flowing. Suppose you can identify the packet, you can see what is inside the packet, you can to see that. Helping user troubleshoot network issues, identify security vulnerabilities, and gain insight into network behavior, how network is working. Key features of Wireshark basically, it includes packet capture. You can capture the packet, can capture packets from various network interfaces and display them in real time or save them for data analysis. Means you can capture the packet. Suppose you feel ki something suspicious is happening, then you can capture the packet and analyze that ki from where it is packing, you are getting the package or what kind of payload is there, who is sending. So you can try to analyze it later. You can save it for later also, and you can analyze it in real time basis. Suppose network is going on, so you can see ki what packets are coming into the system and what packets are moving out from the system network. You can filter that also. Then it also analyzes the protocol basically. It supports a wide range of network protocols and provide detailed insights into each protocol structure, dissecting packets and displaying their fields in a human readable format. Basically, it interact with the network system and try to capture the packets and present it in the key so that the human readable format, so that a human can read the information. Then visualization. The captured data can be visualized using various tools, including color coding, graphs, and filters, which make it easier to identify the patterns, anomalies, and trends. Suppose कि it has a facility so that you can visualize the things, how it is coming. Means कि graph में आ रहा है, color coding में आ रहा है. Suppose कि some unusual is happening, a spike is there, then it will mark it as a spike and red mark in red, something like that, so that you can analyze the trend. It is not normal pattern which is coming. Then it can filtering and search. It can filter. Wireshark offers robust filtering capabilities that allow users to focus on specific packets based on criteria such as IP address. You can also filter the IP address. From suppose you have some suspicion which IP is not supposed to be there. So you can track that particular, filter that particular IP address, and then check the packets what are coming into those packets, whether it is trying to intrude into the system or something like that. So it is filter that thing. Then decryption. It can decrypt encrypted traffic if the necessary encryption keys are available. Okay, it is for analyzing secure connections. Then it is also providing the facility like analysis. It provides statistical tools that help user analyze network behavior over time, such as throughout latency and packet loss. Then it is a one, you can say Wireshark is a versatile tool used by network administrators, security professional, developers, and researchers to diagnose network issues, investigate security incident, optimize network performance, and gain a deep understanding of network communications. Similar to Fiddler is a tool. It is a web debugging proxy tool that can capture HTTPS traffic. Fiddler has the functionality to capture traffic using its decrypt HTTPS functionality. So it is a similar tool kind of Wireshark. And then TCP dump is a command line utility to capture network traffic. These are also the tools similar like Wireshark. Then capturing web traffic, basically web traffic analysis. How to do the traffic analysis, basically website traffic. So website traffic analysis involves collecting and analyzing data about visitors to your site and their actions once they reach it. Suppose कि some visitors had come to your site, then you can analyze how analyze your traffic, basically who is coming, what is they're watching, something like that. So there are the KPIs which includes traffic volume, basically the number of new and returning visitors to your website along with their demographic info. So these are the website traffic analysis में आता है आपका कि traffic volume. What are the traffic volume? The number of new and returning visitors to your website along with their demographic info. From where they belongs to, whether India, outside India, location, demographic location is there. Then website में capturing web traffic में it is traffic sources. How user reached your site, e.g. organic search, sponsored ads, email, social media app or post. Means कि from where they came to into your site, landed in site. Suppose somebody has got reference key or something read from the Facebook, social media, or somebody has directly reached the site. So that kind of sources is also visible. Then page views, the number of time people visit a specific page on the site is also part of website traffic analysis. Then session duration, the total amount of time a visitor spends on your website. That is again a page view. Then session duration, the total amount of time a visitor spends on a website. These are the information are into coming into the capturing web traffic. Yeah, somebody is raising hand. Tell me.
Yeah, hi sir. Am I audible?
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Sir, in the last night I had a doubt like Fiddler and TCP dump, are they also freeware like Wireshark or like are they license based, sir?
TCP dump is a command line you can run. It's a free. It's a free.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Then in website traffic analysis, we can monitor the bounce rate, basically the proportion of visitors who landed at any of your web pages and then left without further interacting with the site. So what are the bounce rate, basically given? Suppose a visitor come into the landed into your site and how much time he spent into your site or left the page without doing anything. So that bounce rate also captured into the website traffic analysis. Then conversion rate. The percentage of visitors that interact with the call to action on the website, such as submitting a form or purchasing product. Anybody has any idea why this web traffic, capturing web traffic is important, or what is website traffic analysis?
Sir, when we host our website, so to get to know like how much like servers we need. So if the traffic is increasing and we are about to reach our limit, so we can
Basically,
increase.
these kind of things are used in digital marketing also, right? Basically, once somebody is, suppose I am selling some product, right? So I
Amazon, Flipkart, they are using this type of.
Yeah, that's the thing. They are doing the website traffic analysis, and due to this, they are offering you the things product. Suppose you have searched something for something, then they offer similar kind of things to you. You can usually see, suppose you have searched for something, then it will come more frequently into your search, or it is showing everywhere the same thing, same product is coming into website, social media, or something like that. So those are things. These are the things which is part of those things. So conversion rate. So the percentage of visitors that interact with a call to action on the website, such as submitting a form. Suppose you have opened a Facebook and you see a ad of a flight. So then it is also telling the conversion rate. Suppose how many, suppose 10 users had click on the that flight thing, but only one person has booked the flight through that link. So that is conversion rate. See, suppose percentage of visitors that interact with a call to action on the website. कितने लोगों ने मतलब suppose कि some ad was running and how much visitor has acted on that particular link and gone to that link. So that is conversion rate. So this interaction is known as a conversion unique visits. Counts only person first visit, allowing you to separate potential client from loyal users. Then exit pages, identify the pages from which each visitor leaves your website. So exit page basically, suppose you have landed into website and in home page you exit. So that is the exit page. Suppose you have browsers 2-3 page, then your exit page, so exit from that page, so that is exit page. These are the information being collected by the websites. Then web application VAPT comes into the picture. So in other words, you can say it is the evaluation of the security of website or web application and its components, source code, database, backend network by simulated attacks. The process of using penetration testing technique on web application to identify its vulnerability is known as the application penetration testing. Basically, these are the tools basically which we use for the web application penetration testing. Astra security. These are the tools which we can use. Then web application VAPT में हमारा आ जाता है basically internal testing and external testing. Again, this is the application VAPT. Which is the last topic, I think. Yeah, this is the last one for this session. Internal testing. Basically, internal pen testing is done within the organization over the LAN. Hence, it includes testing web application hosted on the internet. And external testing में क्या होता है? Done externally from outside the organization. Internal pen testing में क्या होता है कि हम अपने LAN से ही try to create the environment or try to attack our application and then patch the vulnerability. Suppose कि we have developed and we have a testing team or network team which is trying to make attack or simulate the attack kind of thing from internal LAN. Then second kind of VAPT is these are attacked done externally from outside. Suppose we have given a contract to the company, third party, to do the VAPT for us, and they will attack that system from outside the organization and include testing web application hosted on the internet. तो वो जो आपकी एप्लीकेशन वेब एप्लीकेशन होगी होस्टेड होगी इंटरनेट पे उस पर करेंगे बट यूजुअली वी डोंट डू इट ऑन प्रोडक्शन वी मेक अ सिमिलर काइंड ऑफ एनवायरनमेंट इन प्रोडक्शन सर्वर एंड let them attack and give us the vulnerability. To simulate such attacks, testers are given the IP of the target system and not provided any other information. Means we give the only IP system and let them search. They are required to search and scan public web pages and find out information about target host and then compromise the found hosts. Here the external testing. Then what are the phases of penetration testing in web application, if you say? So then these are the planning phase. Then planning phase में आपका penetration testing में आता है. Define the scope and objective of the penetration test, including the target web application system and potential attack vectors. Planning phase में we are basically define the scope and objective of the penetration test. कि what are the web application we are planning to penetrate and testing, and what are the potential attack vectors for that application. कि in what area suppose कि we are making it for UI or SQL injection or अपना design pattern something. So what are the basically potential attack vectors are there. Then we try to determine the rule of engagement, including what actions are allowed and what system can be tested. Am I audible? Hello?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, I think there's no problem.
Okay, right. Yeah, somebody has written message, so planning phase may basically define the scope and objective, then determine the rules of engagement, including action are allowed and what system can be tested. Then we establish a communication channel between the penetration testing team and the organization stakeholders. Who is the stakeholder? So we come into the sync and we'll do the penetration testing on the application. Then there are planning phase. Okay, once we plan ki this is the system and this is the timeline, this is the scope and people involved among the things, we do the planning. Then pre-attack phase. In this phase क्या करते हैं? Basically in this phase, pre-attack phase, the reconnaissance is done with is important for paving the way for the next phase of testing. Basically we try to gather information about the target application, such as technologies, user architecture. Means ki pre-attack phase mein we are trying to gather information about the target application. Ki what is the application all about? In which programming language is it written, like PHP, Java, or .NET, or what are the programming language used for this to develop this application? Then what are the architecture is this application is followed? What are the URL and potential vulnerabilities in this application? So that is the pre-attack phase. We are trying to gather as much information as I can so that we can plan. But we are trying to find out the weak area of the application. First of all, we gather the information like it is maintained in or developed in PHP 4.0, PHP 7.0. Then we try to find out the vulnerabilities in PHP 7.0, like this is old version, or suppose ki attacker are able to get the version of the application. This application written in this particular version, right? Then he will try to find out the vulnerabilities on that version. Then try to exploit one by one those vulnerability into the system and try to attack on that. To identify potential vulnerability, weak points and entry path for attackers. So in pre-attack phase, he will trying to identify कि पहले किस में बनी, किस application में बनी है, किस platform में बनी है, what are the vulnerabilities and what are basically on those parameters he's trying to attack. Then attack phase में what user do in attack phase, basically they exploit identified vulnerabilities to gain authorized access to the web application and its underlying system. Suppose कि he has identified that this application is developed in PHP or .NET and he is trying to exploit that identified vulnerabilities. कि suppose this application is patched for those vulnerabilities or not. Agar if you are not, your application is not patched for known vulnerabilities, then he is able to exploit that thing. Or then he will also utilize various attacks techniques like SQL injection, cross-site scripting, XSS. But means ki whatever the ways and means are available for him, he can try on those parameters to attack the application. In attack phase, the pen tester gets into a web application internal structure and tries to compromise the host, basically. Then post-attack phase, once attack is done, assess the extent of the breach and the potential impact on the target environment. Once basically it's a penetration testing, so it's a ethical testing. So once he is able to attack the system, then he will try to find the extent of the breach. मतलब how internally he can, how deep he can, he is success to get into, how deep level he is reached after making the attack. Which slide you are seeing currently? Somebody is saying slides are not moving. So I'm right now at 28th number slide.
Sir, I
Yes,
can
sir.
see
It is visible.
27. Acha,
It's
other
at
Yeah,
side.
yeah.
yeah, right. Okay. So post-attack phase assess the extent of the breach and the potential impact on the target environment. So post-attack phase, once we have done the attack, then we analyze what we are able to achieve from that attack, assess the extent of the breach and the potential impact on the target environment. Then document the steps taken during the penetration test, including the vulnerabilities exploited, data accessed, and system compromised. Means these things after this post-attack phase, he has to compile. Then compile a detailed report outlining the findings, including technical details of the vulnerabilities, potential weakness, impact, and risk assessment. Anybody has got done penetration testing in their system? Have you seen the report? How it is come from the after BPT?
Yes, I have got the report and we do it on half yearly basis.
Okay. So means you know there are various vulnerabilities, small vulnerability version is exposed, JavaScript is used. There are a lot of things are which is also marked as what are their severity level, whether it is high level, high risk vulnerability or something like that. So those are all the things it is mentioned. So they provide a report after doing the attack. They are going to submit a detailed report, and based on that, they are also provide recommendation. How to remediate to that thing. Yeah, suggesting a step to address the identified vulnerability and enhance security also, right? So then these are things, this is post-attack phase they do. Then this is again showing in the same thing in a diagram manner, like planning, then pre-attack, then attack, then post-attack. तो प्लानिंग में आपका डिफाइनिंग स्कोप हो जाता है, डिफाइनिंग स्कोप हो गया, टाइमलाइन हो गई, पीपल इन्वॉल्व एंड फाइनलाइज टूल्स. Finalizing tools, see what are the tools which are going to use. Then post scanning mein service enumeration, vulnerability assessment. Then attack mein exploiting vulnerabilities, social engineering, web application exploit. Then clean up detailed report and remediation. It is again giving the same thing in this manner. Then here come into picture the SSL and TLS. What is SSL or TLS basically? Anybody can tell? Basically, SSL is a secure socket layer and TLS both are the same now. Earlier it was known as SSL, but now it is known as TLS. Basically, secure socket layer or transport layer security, both are same. And these are the cryptographic protocols used to establish secure and encrypted communication channels over a computer network, right? So both an SSL and TLS protocols are designed to ensure the confidentiality, integrity, and authenticity of data transmitted between a client as a web browser and a server such as web server. Means ki it is maintaining the authenticity and the confidentiality, integrity, and authenticity between the client and server, right? They are commonly used to secure data transmission over the internet. They are basically used to secure the data transmission over the internet. Suppose you have sending some information from client to server. So in between, it is making it secure by encrypting the information so that nobody can fiddle and get the data in between, right? SSL secured socket layer was originally developed by Netscape in the mid-90s to provide secure communication over the internet. SSL version 1 and 2 had several security flaws. Basically, initially, it has 1 and 2. It has a lot of flaws and vulnerabilities and were quickly replaced by SSL 3. So version 1, 2 came and go like this. Then version 3 come into picture, SSL 3, which became the first widely adopted secure protocol. Now, SSL 3 was the one you can say which is mature enough and used basically. Then however, due to security weakness, SSL 3 was also deprecated and its use is now discouraged. Now SSL 3 also discouraged and transport layer security, TLS security version is introduced. TLS was introduced as successor to SSL and is improved and more secure version of the protocol. TLS was defined in various versions, start from TLS 1.0 to TLS 1.3. So now TLS 1.3 is the version which is a stable version and used currently, right? So TLS 1.3 the most recent version, introduced in 2018. Then what are the key features basically? What it does? It provides the encryption. Both SSL and TLS use encryption algorithm to protect data during transmission. Basically, these protocols we use to protect data encryption during the transmission from client and server cannot be intercepted and read by unauthorized parties. Basically, क्या करते हैं कि suppose this ensures that data sent between the client and server cannot be intercepted and read by unauthorized parties. So this is the work of SSL or TLS basically. Nobody can read the data in between. Then I told you it maintains the CIA basically confidentiality, integrity and availability, which I told you in earlier class. That CIA, it maintains that CIA, and we are achieving through that SSL and TLS. Okay. Then handshake protocol. During the initial connection setup, SSL or TLS performs a handshake protocol to negotiate encryption algorithms, exchange cryptographic keys, and authenticate the server and sometimes the client to ensure a secure connection is established. Then TLS is the recommended and modern protocol for securing data transmission over the internet. It is essential for protecting sensitive information and ensuring the privacy and security of online communications. So this is widely used protocol TLS 1.3. So here is a brief difference between SSL and TSL, how we stand for. The SSL means secure socket layer, TLS means transport layer security. Then version history, SSL is now replaced with TSL. SSL moved through version 1.2, 1, 2 and 3. Then SSL is deprecated after version 3. SSL 3 is deprecated now. Now TLS is the upgraded version of SSL. TLS has moved through version 1.0, 1.1, 1.2 and currently it is 1.3. Then activity, every SSL version is now deprecated. Means the SSL is no more into the picture, it's a history now. And
I'm not able to hear. Is the same with all other participants?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Some actually distinct. I think, yeah. I'm audible now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So every SSL version now deprecated basically. SSL has only two types of alert message. Alert message are encrypted, and TLS alert message are encrypted and more diverse, right? Then SSL uses MAX and TLS uses HMAX. SSL supports older algorithms with known security vulnerabilities. TLS uses advanced encryption algorithms.
Excuse me, sir, what is HMAC?
HMAC basically, I will let you know actually. Yeah. Currently I'm not recalling. So MAC तो आपका machine का हो गया, machine address हो गया basically. HMAC is, I will tell you.
Okay.
Then SSL handshake is complex and slow.
HMAC is a hash-based method.
Pardon?
It's a hash map.
HashMac, okay, right. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Then next point is digital certificates. Anybody can tell what is the difference between digital signature and digital certificates? Any idea?
Digital certificate basically comes kind of SSL certificate.
Yeah. And what is digital signature?
Digital signature is a kind of a digital. I mean, again, it's come from some authority.
Right. CA, certificate
Yes.
authority, basically CAs are there.
But it's for a person.
Yeah.
Digital
Basically,
certificate.
digital certificate is issued to the website, company, organization, and this digital signature is issued to the person to identify that person, right? So digital certificate facilitates secure electronic communication and data exchange between people, systems, and device online. They are issued by certificate authorities. Basically, the certificate authority issue this and perform two primary functions: verifying whether what are the basically underlying requirement for the digital certificate, because it's verifying the identity of the sender or receiver of an electronic message, and then providing the means to encrypt or decrypt message between sender and receiver, that is binding an entity to their public key. So like you have seen key in website URL, see there is a lock and you can view the certificate. It is showing ki it increase the trust of user. Suppose you are opening a website, a bank website, then how can you know ki this website is valid website, right? So by clicking there, you can see the certificate issued to that company and its validity also mentioned over there. So you can check it out ki this is valid website and issued to ICICI Bank or something which is available. So this basically increase the confidence on the website and user can easily go do the transaction at a particular site. Then basically digital certificate, there are two basic types of digital signature certificates: individual digital signature certificate, signing certificates, basically, and then server certificates. So these certificates are used to identify a person and include personal information. They can be used to sign electronic documents, that is to provide electronic signatures and emails. So digital signature are basically used to ensure authenticity, integrity, and non-repudiation of digital data, but they serve different purpose and used for different stages of secure communication. Here are the key difference between digital signatures. What are the purpose? A digital signature is used to provide assurance about the authenticity and integrity of digital data, such as documents, message, or transactions. Right. Digital signature. It is similar to handwritten signature in the physical world, providing a way to verify the origin and integrity of the signed data. Suppose ki if particular document is digitally signed, then it is authentic. It is meant ki it is authentic document, and it's similar to handwritten signature in the physical world, right? So process to create a digital signature, the sender signs user their private key to encrypt a hash value of the data being signed. The recipient verify can then use the signer's public key to decrypt the signature and compare the decrypted hash value with the freshly calculated hash value of the received data. So this thing. And what is the digital certificate? Digital certificate, the purpose of the digital certificate is the digital certificate is used to bind an entity, that is website, organization, or individual. Public key to its identity, it serves as a mean of verifying the authenticity of the entity and is issued by a trusted third party organization known as certificate authority. Means ki both the digital certificates and digital signature both are issued by a certificate authority, and it is increased to gain the confidence of the user on your product or site, so that ki user can easily access the site and he has no hassle to use that. So by this, I'm completing this topic, and this is the last slide for this. So any questions?
Sir, certificate is chargeable or how it will be work?
It's a chargeable. You need to buy it from the. Is a VeriSign is there, VeriSign and all. So if you see any website, you can click on the lock next to the URL. So you can check that certificates and you can see what are the verifying authority or issuing authority, and you can see that. Any questions further?
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yeah.
Sir, we are like
You are not
getting.
audible. Can you speak a little louder, please?
Yeah, can you hear me now, sir?
Yeah.
Sir, we are like getting some certified certifications from a valid like solution provider. Still, somebody has hacked our system. So in that case, like whether the solution provider will take the certain responsibilities in analyzing and giving you the outputs, or like what type of the actions to be performed.
Come again. Actually, you said you have applied the certificate. Still, your site got hacked, right? Is it?
Yes, something has happened. So in that case, what is the course of action?
In that case, it's not something. Certification authority is certifying you, but it is not certifying that you are not vulnerable or you cannot hack, because the site having SSL are also being hacked. It's not like that.
So
right? Basically, it's a providing key SSL. The basic work of SSL is key. It is encrypting the data in mid of transmission. Means suppose the client side se data jo server tak it is traveling, it is encrypted, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Hope I gave some information. It's a valuable information to you. Though it's a little bit technical. Yeah.
If there are no further questions, then we would like to close this session today. We would like to thank Vinay Chaudhary sir for completing the applicant security part in detail. Last class was the introduction to the applicant security, and this class is covered the topics of testing, VAPD testing, and other SAST and DST testing. So we thank Vinay Chaudhary sir for his time, valuable time, and thank you, sir. If you have no further question, then we can close the session today.
Okay, nice to see you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.